Well. Clemson Tiger fans, college football fans, thanks again for joining me for another episode of the Clemson Tiger pregame show here on the Voice of College Football Clemson channel. I'm your host, Tiger Paul Craven, and this week we will be breaking down the matchup between Wake Forest and Clemson. And joining me will be some amazing co-hosts. I have none other than Jordan Bowman and DeAndre
What's a Hornet?
joining me today to break down some Clemson football. Thank you guys for joining me on this fine Friday. How you guys doing this on this fine Friday afternoon?
Doing good.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Just excited to talk about this game. This is a big one. We're finally getting into the meat of the schedule. So,
absolutely, some well-anticipated games coming up for Clemson both this week and next week, coming with NC State. But before we get into that, let's get in some. Let's talk to the chat a little bit. Hey guys, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Jordan Bowman, appreciate you guys tuning in. DeAndre, appreciate you guys tuning in. If you could, please hit that like button for us. It'll really help us out. Subscribe if you hadn't already. And then if you are so inclined, please share the video. We would enjoy that as well. But without further ado, let's get into the matchup here with Clemson and Wake Forest. Again, I'm going to start with some storylines coming into the game to kind of get us kicked off here today. Let's talk about the matchup between Wake and Clemson. Wake has lost the last 4 games by a total of 38, or by an average of 38.5 points. Clemson or Dabo Swinney has never lost to Wake Forest or has never lost to Wake Forest since he's been the head coach at Clemson. And even though Clemson struggled last year coming into this game, Clemson was supposed to lose to Wake Forest. Wake Forest was supposed to, really move the ball against Clemson. That did not happen. It was one of the few games last year. If you're a Clemson fan, you know what I'm talking about. Clemson's offense struggled mightily last year, but we looked much better against a defense that Wake Forest put on the field last year. So that's kind of the storylines coming into the game. Dabo is 13-0 against Wake Forest. Wake Forest has lost an average of 38.5 points in the last 4 games against Clemson. What are your guys' thoughts on kind of the storylines coming into the game so far?
If you don't mind me cutting in first about this.
Yep. Go ahead,
Clemson
DeAndre.
got the 13-game winning streak versus Wake Forest.
So we do have a 13-game winning streak. Yep.
This is the second longest winning streak versus Wake Forest.
Yes.
1977 to 1991, Clemson beat Wake Forest in 1981, 84-24, but that was the biggest win of all time. In 2018, we beat them 63-3. No, I'm sorry, 1967. 63-3. So that was the biggest win of all time. But Wake Forest has trouble running the ball.
You're saying the biggest win in Clemson history came against Wake Forest?
Not the biggest win, probably against Wake was Georgia Tech, but they beat Wake Forest 63-3. But everybody remembers the 84-24 game. So Mitch, my uncle, scored the last touchdown on. But
there you go.
Yeah, I think I sent y'all
a little DeAndre family history in the mix tonight.
I think I sent you some pictures of a sack he got.
Yeah. I saw those pictures.
Wake Forest has trouble against the running the ball, period. They only rush for a total of 128 yards per game, and they're having trouble running the ball against Liberty, VMI, and who else did they play?
Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt.
Yep.
So they had trouble against all 3 of those teams. I think Vanderbilt is 87th against the run. And
we'll get into it more later, but they had what they like 20, 30 yards rushing last week against Liberty.
Yep.
It was bad. So
and last thing I'm gonna say, I'm gonna let it go to y'all. But also, I don't know if Jordan's old enough to know this, but the 2005 game was based off a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the climax was still beating Clemson. Fifth quarter.
Yep.
It was based off a game.
Yep. All right, Jordan, quick thoughts on the game. I gave you a couple of the press clippings,
excuse
if we
me, one
will.
more second, Jordan.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't understand why Clemson's not a bigger favorite. 7.5 is way too long.
Yeah, absolutely. So 7 points is the spread going into the Clemson Wake Forest game this weekend. Clemson is a 7-point favorite. I, much like DeAndre, do not understand that point spread. I think Clemson wins. Well, we'll get into that later. I don't want to put my hand out there too early, but Jordan Bowman, I gave you some press clippings, if you will, going into the game. Dabo's never lost a Wake as a head coach. Wake has lost by an average of 38.5 points over the last 4 games. Clemson's offense struggled last year, but put up a ton of points against Wake last year. So what are your thoughts on kind of the press clippings, if you will, heading into the game this weekend?
I mean, yeah. Well, you pretty much summed it up. It's been a pretty uncompetitive series since Dabo has been the head coach. I saw a stat to add on. Yeah. To add on to your stats, I think David Hale put it out on Twitter. He said that since 2015, in the first quarter of matchups between Clemson and Wake Forest, Clemson has outscored Wake Forest 100-10. And Wake Forest has not held a lead against Clemson since the 2014 game when they led 7-0, or it was 3-0 or 7-0. So that just tells you all you need to know about how this game has been. And the biggest thing for Wake Forest in this game has been, starting off slow. That tells you all you need to know. They don't start fast in these games. I think they've scored like I can't remember. They haven't even a lot of most of their first drives have been like 3 and outs in those in those first quarters. And last year it took them, I believe, 5 possessions before they got 2 first downs. So the biggest thing for Wake is getting off to a faster start, and that's kind of been their Achilles heel in this matchup. They can't get it going early, and Clemson builds up a lead, and they're playing catch up from the start. So this is going to be a really interesting game. Just based on that, Dave Clawson's trying to get the monkey off his back. Sam Hartman's been there a long time. Hasn't, he's won the division, but even in the year when he won the division, didn't beat Clemson. So
couldn't beat Clemson, right?
Right. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they play it, considering the past struggles.
All right, so I want to encourage everybody watching right now, please get into the chat section, get your thoughts in, get your questions in, get any comments in that you have on what we're saying right now, and we will get through them a little bit later on into the show. But moving on in the show, I say let's start with the Wake offense, okay? They have Sam Hartman coming back this year. He missed a little bit of fall camp with some blood clots. He missed the first game with blood clots, but he is back. And the past 2 games, he has been lighting it up in the air like he has never left before. Okay, so I will list off a couple stats for the Wake offense. Okay, they're averaging 42 points a game, 434 yards a game. They're doing pretty well in the offensive department. Okay, but what they're not doing well in is running the ball. Okay, we mentioned it earlier. They are not running the ball very well. I don't think they'll be able to run the ball very well against Clemson. What do you think the blueprint looks like for Wake's offense? And this goes to both of you. Ball. What does the blueprint look like for Wake's offense? We know Clemson has a killer front. They can really rush the passer. Wake Forest kind of has that slow mesh that they like to try to run to really get the defense off balance and really guessing whether it's a pass or a run. But the one thing that is the Achilles heel to that type of offense. And one thing that was exposed last year was Clemson's pressure. And in the game last year, Clemson had, I think it was 8 sacks and 10 tackles for loss in that game against Wake last year. They got a lot of pressure on Sam Hartman. They sacked him early and often. They got the Wake offense out of position. They got them off of their game plan. And it was a struggle for Wake's offense to really get a rhythm in that game. And I think that's why Clemson's offense was able to get on their feet early. They had some success, and then there was kind of some lulls in it. So what do you think a good game plan for Wake looks like going into this matchup? We'll start with Jordan.
I think they're going to try to throw a lot of deep balls against Clemson and test that secondary. I don't think they're going to try to run the ball. If you couldn't run against VMI and whoever else, you're not going to be able to run against Clemson.
Right.
I know we had a lot of injuries. Tyler Davis should be back, and I think Xavier's supposed to be back. But against that front,
Allegedly,
you're not going to be able to run the ball.
Allegedly, Xavier will be back.
Yeah.
Jordan, what do you think? What does Wake's game plan look like going in? If you were coaching for Wake and you were running their offense, what would your game plan look like going against this Clemson defense?
Well, I think you have to put on the tape from the last 3 weeks, and the common theme has been
quick passing game, right?
Yeah, quick hitters. Yeah.
Yep.
And that's not really Wake Forest's game, but I think they have that in their playbook. I think, but I think they probably will have to do a lot more traditional dropbacks and not so much of the slow mesh stuff. They won't be able to get a lot of their longer developing routes off, but I think they have the receivers that are quick enough in space and can get open. And so if I was the offensive coordinator, I would kind of follow the Louisiana Tech game plan and get the ball out fast. Don't let Clemson's D-line play a factor in the passing game, because otherwise, I mean, if you're dropping back, 40, 50 times, that's a recipe for disaster. You're going to get, that's a recipe to get a lot of sacks, a lot of tackles for loss. So, getting the ball out fast, I think is going to be key, because I think Wake knows they can't run the ball. Clemson knows they can't run the ball. So it's just a matter of, how creative can Wake get and how off balance can they get the Clemson defense, with the quick passing game, getting the ball out to A.T. Perry and Donovan Green and Taylor Morin and guys like that. So that'll be really interesting to see how they play it, because they've kind of stuck with their guns when they've played Clemson in the past. So I don't know if they're going to switch it up.
Right, and that's kind of been the game plan for Wake going into a lot of the games against Clemson, right? And I think that's, it's been proven that Clemson's game plan, Clemson's defensive scheme has limited Wake when it comes to really producing a lot of points and a lot of yards against the Clemson defense. Wake has really stuck to their guns. They've really stuck to that mesh that they like to do. They've really stuck to, kind of the drop back passing. And I don't think that bodes well for them. And to your point, I don't think – obviously Wake knows, Clemson knows, everybody who's watched these two teams knows that Wake cannot run the ball against Clemson. It's just not going to happen. Clemson's going to get penetration. Their front, they're too good. They're too good up front. Regardless of who's healthy this weekend, I think the only question going into this weekend with Clemson's defense is how healthy are we, both on the back end and in the front line, right? Like, who is back and who is truly healthy to play this game. But at the same time, I think we have enough depth in the defensive line that we can get penetration regardless of who's healthy. I think Tyler Davis will be back for this game. I don't know if XT will be back. He was rumored to be back for last game. He's rumored to be back for this game. It's yet to be seen whether he will be back for this game. I hope we see him in this game. And I do think if we do see him in this game, he'll have a big impact on the game. I think he will put pressure on Sam Hartman. I think our defensive line will put an immense amount of pressure on Sam Hartman, and I think he will. That mesh point will be broken up. So I think if Wake Forest is smart, they will have to incorporate, kind of the quick passing game into their offense if they're looking to consistently move the ball against this Clemson defense. I don't think there's any other way to move the ball against this Clemson defense. I do have some questions on the back end, not only because we have some injuries on the back end, but our young people, our young DBs don't look exactly ready on the back end, right? We saw them last week against La Tech. They kind of were confused. They were exposed a little bit. They had some bust, and that's to be expected with some young players. I mean, we have 5 or 6 starters out last week, so the Clemson defense had some struggles, and I think that's to be expected. But I think it really depends on how healthy our secondary is. How do you think our secondary looks? I know Dabo didn't give a lot of, he kind of gave the cliff notes, if you will, for our injury report in the back end of the defense. He didn't really play his hand a lot. How do you think the back end of the defense looks health wise coming into the Wake Forest game?
I honestly think that we're going to play a lot of cover 3 and cover 2. And we're going to keep the ball in front of us. We ain't going to let you get beat deep. And we're going to let those speedy linebackers go sack. Speed linebackers, those defensive ends, we probably see a lot of 3-3-5 this game. And we're probably going to sit back in that coverage and take away their deep ball. That's what they like to do. And we're going to dare Wake Forest to run the ball. That's what I'm looking at. I see Wake Forest play a little bit. Their offensive line has a lot of issues blocking people. So I think that we're going to be able to get a lot of pressure on Sam Howard with 3 to 5 people rushing. I hope he don't get blitz happy, and then we get burnt down the middle. But I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm with you. If I'm Wes Goodwin, I'm not trying to send a bunch of blitzes and stuff. I think you got to trust your front, whether it's 3 or 4. You saw him go to that 3-3-5 last week against Louisiana Tech. Maybe he does that, like DeAndre said. You mix that in some, but trust whoever you got up front. Keep everything in front of you. Don't give up the big play, because that's the last thing that Clemson needs. Because I mean, you got to think. Sam Hartman is going to get he's going to get some yards in this game. He did last year. He threw for over 300 yards, but the turnovers, failed execution in the red zone, kept them from scoring points. And I think that's if you're Clemson, that's the kind of game you want to play. I think so. I feel confident in our offense's ability to score. We'll get to that side of the ball soon, but yeah, defensively, just keep everything in front of you. I think the speed at linebacker is going to be enough to cover, and those short passing games just make sound tackles, and I think that the defense will be okay.
And I think what we got hurt last week, that tight end was just so fast.
Yeah,
and he was a former receiver.
They don't have anything like
tight
that.
end, and yeah, so you just got a quick. He was so quick. I think that gave us a lot of problems, but I think that would be good.
Yeah, no, I think Clemson will be fine defensively. So you guys, the next question I would ask you, we kind of covered Wake Forest's offense. They're explosive. We know this, but they can't run the ball. All 3 of us agree they won't be able to run the ball against Clemson. So they're going to be very one-dimensional. So as far as looking at Clemson, if you were making the game plan for Clemson's defense, what would it be? What would your game plan look like, and how would that go in your opinion?
Like I said, I'll sit there and cover 3 or the 3-3-5 defense, have the safeties back, and I get beat, or go to cover 2 and just don't get beat deep, because that's their game. I can't remember their receiver name, but I know he was pretty good last year.
Perry,
that's
yeah.
how I would pair. Yeah,
A.T. Perry. A.T. Perry is a monster. You got Sam Hartman. I mean, they got some weapons out there. Sam Hartman can obviously sling the ball around. So, yeah,
that's what I would
absolutely.
do.
Yeah, again, it's basically what DeAndre said. Sit back. I think you're going to see a lot of zone from both teams in this game, but especially Clemson. I don't see any reason to man up and get to send a lot of guys, because I don't think that's quite necessary. So. Yeah, I would play it safe. I think Sam Hartman's he's gonna get his regardless. They have some, again, their receivers are really good. I mean, it's A.T. Perry, it's Donovan Green, it's Keyshawn Williams, it's Taylor Moore, Taylor Moore in the slot. They've got some really shifty guys, and obviously A.T. Perry is a jump ball machine. So
Absolutely.
so
The dude can go get passes.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, he had a nice game against Clemson last year. So
He did. He did.
You just don't get beat over the top, and it should be okay.
Alakazam gets into the comments, says, think it will be a close game. Do you guys agree or disagree?
14 or more.
14 or more from DeAndre. What do you say, Jordan Bowman?
Yeah, based on what I've seen from both teams, and just considering how these teams match up, I don't think it's going to be close. It wouldn't surprise me, because I mean, if Wake Forest has a good game, I mean, there's always the chance that they hang around. But I feel pretty confident in a Clemson win here. Just it all depends on just.
I mean, after last year, does anything surprise us as Clemson fans?
Yeah, right. Yeah, no.
I mean, we got PTSD. Let's be real. We got PTSD from last year. Nothing surprises us anymore.
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to be close.
Yeah, no. Me personally, I don't think it's going to be close. I think Clemson wins by 3 or more scores, in my opinion. But we'll get to that later on in the discussion. John Searing gets in, says, not sure what's up with YouTube. Didn't get any advance notice. Sorry about that, John, but glad you're here now. He says, any word on whether Tyler Davis will play? Saw he was traveling. I did see that he traveled. He was looking pretty fly in his suit. So I'm hopeful that he will play. Again, Dabo Swinney in his press conference did not really show his hand. He said some dudes were going to be game time decisions. I don't know if Tyler Davis was included in that group, but he didn't really say whether Tyler Davis will play or not. I suspect Tyler Davis will be back. I suspect Brian Brzee will be back. I hope XT will be back as well. I hope we have the full allotment of Clemson defensive linemen so we can completely blow up that mesh and make Sam Hartman's life terrible.
We Page and Oka, whatever, I can't remember right now.
Rukaroro?
Yeah. He'll blow that up by
bro, that dude. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I know you. Did you see that clip of Page like walking that guard back? I don't know if you guys saw that. He was lined up. I think he was lined up at 3 tech, and he just destroyed one. Like, he just walked him back right into the quarterback. Like it was that was. I've watched that play about 50 times. It's been circulating around Twitter, but I
haven't seen it. Hey, send it to me. Send it to me after this. Yeah, send it to me after this. I haven't seen that.
I don't know if y'all ever been to a Wake Forest Clemson game at Wake Forest. There are going to be more Clemson fans there. There's going to be Wake Forest. I was supposed to go, but I'll wait till hopefully I'll get those tickets to the Miami game. My uncle promised me. Sometimes, stuff happens, but we're supposed to be going down there for the game, and I already sold my tickets for this game. Yeah, they're gonna walk. They're gonna put it on. They're gonna put it on. They ain't gonna be close.
Yeah.
I don't see how like if we look at our schedules, the three that we play, the three they play, I don't think that it's any equal in level of competition that we done played so far. I
Right.
don't think it's gonna be close. Not
All
saying
right.
Georgia Tech is anything great, but Louisiana Tech is usually pretty good, and so is Furman. So
John Saring gets back into the chat and says 2 or 3 Clemson running backs will have 100+ yards.
It happened last year.
I
Shipley and
agree.
Pace went.
It
Shipley and
happened
Pace.
last year. Yeah. Kobe Pace had an amazing game
Yep.
last year. I mean, he ran all over Wake, and Shipley did the same. I would not be surprised to see all three do that this year against Wake Forest. I don't think they can truly stop our running game if we truly decide that's what we want to do and we want to impose our will. I don't think it can be stopped. Scott gets in and said Randall will show us who he is at wide receiver. I hope so.
Yep.
What do you guys think?
Well, I mean, this is a good time. I guess it's a good time to just transition into the offense fully. So
Yeah, there we go. Let's go into the Clemson offense and how it matches up against the Wake Forest defense. What do you guys think about the Clemson offense going into this game?
before we go there, can I ask a question?
Sure. Yeah, what's up,
Okay,
man?
Brandon Armstrong is struggling at Virginia right now, and
Okay. Yep,
if you go
he
look
is.
at you go look at what DJ did last year, and you look at what Brandon did last year, and DJ's improvement with I think he has like over 200 yards passing the last 3 games, 6
Okay.
touchdowns and 1 INT.
Yep.
And last year he had like 2 touchdowns and 3 INTs. So my
Yep.
question is Tully Elliott maybe the issue?
I'm not gonna go there. I do think
Yeah.
I
Go
think
ahead.
Virginia's issues are more than just like coaching. They really have no offensive line. They lost all 5 of their starters from last year, and it doesn't seem like the guys they. I think it's similar to what's happening at Boston College right now. They
Don't
lost everybody. And
don't they like lead the nation in drops too? Like or something crazy like
it's
that? Like
Virginia probably. I'm
like
Dante
Yeah, they do.
Dontavian Wicks.
they drop passes. They drop passes like it's their job.
Yeah,
I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah,
Like,
Dontavian Wicks was an 1,000-yard receiver last year, and now I think he
Yeah, they
leads the
had 3
team in
good
drop.
running backs coming back.
Yeah, so
And 3 good wide receivers coming back.
but I guess that gives
Yeah.
you more ammunition, huh, DeAndre? If
Yeah.
if Elliott went there and now suddenly they're dropping passes, so I guess
Oh,
that's not
yeah.
a good argument. But
hey, we're still dropping passes, and Elliott's gone.
yeah,
so.
we are still dropping passes. We
Well,
still
but our offense
yeah
looks
yeah
a
you
little
can
bit
look at
better.
our review of the last game, me and Jordan, and we still got a case of the dropsies. Although it is much improved from last
Yeah.
season, we still have some issues. So
Oh, yeah,
I don't
I
think
agree
you
with
can
you.
totally put that on Tony Elliott. Receivers got to make plays. I mean that's their job. Look, if the ball hits you in the hands, you got to catch it. That's not on coaching. I'm sorry. That's on the receiver.
I agree with you.
But good question. I like it. I like where you were going with that.
It is interesting, though. We'll
But
see.
where were we at before? Okay, going into Clemson's offense. How do you guys feel about the Clemson offense going against Wake Forest defense? What do you think? What do you think it'll look like? What do you think the game plan is? How do you think we match up? So on and so forth.
A lot of quick game, a lot of running game. Then throw it up top every now and then. But I think that's going to be the game plan. We're going to see them use that big offensive line, and usually Wake Forest has undersized offensive lines, and defensive lines, and we're going to push them around a little bit. Give Shipley and the other running backs the ball, and let them run up the yards like they did last year. And I think they also used it to advantage to slow Wake Forest down with their high power offense when they get going. So I think that's what you're gonna see.
Okay,
That
Jordan,
Nagata catch was nice last week, by the way. I
it
stayed
was.
I was on the backstage for like 15 minutes. I said, man, they must something on here.
Yeah, you kept dropping out, so we couldn't bring you on. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jordan,
Yeah, I
what do you think about the Clemson offense going into Wake Forest? How do you think we match up against Wake Forest defense? And what do you think the game plan should be going into the game? What do you think Clemson should focus on?
Running the ball. I mean, I just it
Yeah,
sounds simple, but that's probably because it is. I think Wake is, I think they're going to. I don't expect them to, load the box too much. I think they're going to, want us to run it. Um, But yeah, I think you just got it's the same game plan as last year. I think I do think
right.
Wake has improved in their pass rushing ability. They've got some guys on there, Kobe Turner at D tackle and Rondell Bothroyd, but they can be moved around in the run game. They're not
yeah.
superimposing a
They
guy.
had that guy go in the second round last year. I can't remember his name, but number 9. So I
Uh,
thought he would do a bit.
Fox, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah,
So
Miles
so
Fox. I think. Yeah, he's gone. Um,
yeah. So yeah. I think we're gonna throw the ball on them a little bit. I think we're gonna be okay, man. I really don't. I'm shocked how low the spread is, to be honest with you. But I think you're gonna see Clemson have a very clean game this week. Especially with them leaving on a run game. I think they about to crank Shipley up and just run it up their tailbone and let's go.
yeah.
And I
Well, I
like
mean,
what DJ doing too, running the ball.
yeah. Well, and I mean, to think, you mentioned the spread. If you think back to last year, I think Clemson was what they were like a 3-point favorite at home or something like that.
Probably,
It was
probably,
I don't remember.
maybe,
Maybe someone in
maybe.
the chat.
I don't. Yeah, I don't remember what the spread was last year, but I do know coming into the game, I think most people felt like Clemson would lose. To be
Yeah.
completely honest, coming
Well,
into
yeah,
the
but
game last year, I
yeah,
think most people felt like Wake would roll. They had a dynamic offense.
Stop.
I feel like that they thought that Clemson would absolutely just get steamrolled by that Wake offense. I think they thought that Clemson would not be able to score because Clemson's offense hadn't scored all season. They hadn't really done anything. So I think last year showed a lot.
yeah. Well, I mean,
Uh,
the reason I say that because DeAndre was talking about was talking about this spread, and I was like, well, if you think about it, it's not if you it's it's different from last year because this game is on the road, and so I think if you typically give three, 2.5, 3 points for home field advantage, and Clemson a is still a touchdown favorite. So if this game was played on a neutral field, Clemson would be favored by 10. If this was in Death Valley this year, they'd probably be favored by 13 or so, closer to 2 touchdowns. So
right.
if you really think about it, I think Vegas still thinks Clemson is a lot better. Still a lot better than how they had them rated last year. So
Last year game was a -4.
yeah, it's a 4-point, 4-point favorite. Yeah, so it's if you flip it, and now Clemson's a bigger is a bigger favorite on the road than they were as a home favorite last year. So
Right.
I think the spread kind of reflects that Clemson has improved, but the way Vegas works, they don't usually overcorrect, and they don't the lines don't change that drastically from
Right.
based on their numbers and stuff. And so,
Hold on, okay? We'll be ready to go.
John makes a good point about Clemson does not and this isn't new to Clemson in general. Just Clemson's always been known to start out slow and not always cover the spread. And their early September games, they sometimes they come out sluggish, or so that I mean it's not really that different.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Clemson will cover the spread in this game. I think if I was Clemson, I would run the ball. I would control the clock. I would keep Wake Forest's offense off the field. I would limit Sam Hartman's opportunities, especially against a secondary that may be limited due to injuries or whatever. I would not put my youth out there too much, and I would kind of play control the clock, run the ball, and really exploit that Wake Forest defense and gain in the same time gain experience and confidence for my offense,
Yeah.
especially the offensive line. And I think we could have like 300-yard rushers if we really wanted to in this game. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
I think so. I do think Streeter's going to want to pass it some, and I think that'll be good. I think it'll be good. I think the goal is to be balanced, and last year was the way they played that weight game was kind of out of necessity with the receiver depth. There wasn't much receiver depth. A lot of people were hurt, so
Right.
I'm not gonna go into this game expecting like 3 backs with over 100 yards because that probably means we didn't pass the ball very much. I think DJ threw it, maybe – I don't even think he threw 20 times in that game.
Yeah, he was 12 out of 20 for 210, and he didn't have no touchdowns, though.
I thought he did – well, I thought he did have one touchdown. He hit one to Bo Collins on the sideline. I do remember that.
Well, according to what this is, maybe I'm reading it wrong. Let me see. Well, yeah, he was 12 out of 20.
I know he had a touchdown in that game because I remember it was that one-handed catch that Bo Collins made on the sideline on the DB and ran it in on the left side.
Okay.
So, but yeah, he did.
We don't blame Phil Steele if that's true.
Yeah, well, he didn't. Well, but still, he only threw it 20 times. He didn't. They didn't. Wasn't like they threw it all over the field. So I do think DJ's going to see his attempts rise in this game.
He didn't have no sacks either. He didn't get sacked that game.
Yeah, no, yeah, they did a good job of protecting him. So, if the offensive line is continues to play how they have been, improving each week, we should expect to see a pretty balanced attack from Clemson.
Yeah, and I think they will. I think Clemson needs to focus on the run game. For one, Will Shipley is running at what is it?
Like 7.8 yards per carry.
Like 7.8 yards a carry. I'm sure if we get Kobe and Maffa in on the mix, they'll be doing similar things. So
didn't Kobe start this game last year, or was it the year before?
Oh, Kobe had a breakout game this game last year. He had what did he have? Like 2 or 3 touchdowns, like 200 yards.
Yeah, close to it. I think he had like one.
He might not have had 200, but it was close to 200 yards.
Yeah.
He had a breakout game. He did really well in this game last year, and I would like to see all 3 of them get a ton of touches. I mean, if Clemson just went control the clock the whole game, I'd be 100% happy. Although I do want to see Clemson still get some rhythm in the passing game, still get some confidence going with DJ. And I think that's been building for the most part this entire season. So I think they'll continue to build on that. But I think the game plan going into this game is definitely heavy on rushing the ball. I don't have any doubt that we can impose our will in that side of the game at all. So.
Well, gentlemen, I don't have to run. I'm going to a high school game tonight, Palm Forest, and they're playing. But y'all gentlemen have a great night, and I'll see y'all tomorrow after the game.
All right, we'll see you for the post-game show. Have a good one, DeAndre. All right, Shipley is the most consistent offensive player so far this season. How do you feel about that comment, Jordan?
I mean, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
who else would you put? I mean, you could argue Antonio Williams. Just he's made an impact in every game he's played in so far. But Shipley is just he scored 2 touchdowns in every single game, so it's kind of hard to pick anybody else. Maybe Jordan McFadden at left tackle. He's just he's old reliable there. He's all ACC guy, or the leader of that unit.
Underrated, right?
Yeah,
underrated for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Shipley, you got to give it to Shipley, and I'd say McFadden and maybe Antonio Williams are right there.
Presto gets in, says hoping to see tight ends and slot wide receivers more involved, utilize the middle of the field, intermediate passing game, etc. What do you think about that?
I think we're going to see that a little bit more. I'm not necessarily blown away by Wake's linebacker play.
No, not at all.
And even like their secondary, I think their secondary is improved. I think their pass defense is a little better than it was last year, but I still don't think it's great. And I do think Clemson, you're going to start seeing Clemson utilize the middle of the field a little bit more. I think watching like the Louisiana Tech game, you saw there were plays to be had. You saw the concepts that were there. And if DJ is on point and reading them, I think you're going to start seeing them hit those plays a little bit more and go to it a little bit more. So that's definitely a good point. I think you'll see more developed consistency in the middle of the field and like that.
All right, John Searing gets in, says DJ could see 100 yards himself.
Man, if DJ breaks off a long run, I would be.
I'll be here for it.
Yeah, I'm here for it. I mean, and he's to his credit, he's running the ball really well right now, and it's such a relief and such a refreshing thing to see because it forces the defense to actually respect the QB run game. When we're doing those power reads and RPOs and stuff, and now the defender actually has to freeze instead of just keying in on the running back or something like that. So that's refreshing to see. And DJ, he still looks a little awkward when he runs, but he's definitely moving way better.
Yeah, DJ definitely looks awkward when he runs. But what I will say is apparently his escapability has improved.
Oh yeah, he's made a lot of guys miss this year.
He does not. Yeah, he does not look like I don't know, man. Like I don't know how to explain it. He does not look like last year, obviously, but he also never looks like super fast when he's out there doing anything. But somehow he's still making guys miss. So I'll take it any day of the week. I like this version of DJ. I'm rooting for him. I know there's going to be people in the comments section. There's people out there that heard our week 1 breakdown of the Georgia Tech game, and they're like, oh, these dudes, most of them were, rooting for DJ to get replaced. I get it, okay? I was one of those guys. I'll take responsibility for my take, okay? But at the end of the day, look, I'm a fan. Fan is short for fanatic, and it is what it is, okay?
Right.
Sue me. Whatever, okay? But I'm all DJ at this point. I think he looks great. He is making some fantastic throws. I mean, when you're looking last year compared to this year, he's making some fantastic throws. He's really putting the ball on the money. He's really giving his receivers an opportunity to make plays, and that's all we can really ask for from a quarterback, right?
Absolutely.
Shipley is the most. Yep, we already went over that. Okay, so any thoughts on punting? I think it's been okay. Seems like it was a potential concern preseason. We talked about that a little bit, but I'll let you talk about it a little bit more, Jordan.
Yeah, it hasn't been detrimental, which is good. Yeah, it hasn't. Yeah,
refreshing compared to what came out of fall camp day 1, right? Like fall camp day 1 was like the stars are falling. We don't have a punter. Our kicking game is terrible. I don't know what we're gonna do, right?
Yeah,
Like that was kind of like fall camp day one.
yeah. But I'm pleasantly surprised by Swanson. It's not he's not like Will Spires, like completely just absolutely sending it, but he's doing a good job of
Mm-hmm.
of getting distance, getting air up under the ball, and flipping field position. So it's
Right.
and I think that's really all you can ask for based off of, as you mentioned, the stuff we were hearing out of fall camp and how, the first, like week one, like Dabo called it the worst week of punting he's ever seen in his life. And we're all like, oh boy, here it goes. And,
Like, oh no.
because, Clemson special teams has always been something that's been really up and down in the past. And so, in recent years, we've had some consistency there with Potter and Spires, two really good specialists. And now, obviously we still have Potter, but Spires moving on was a kind of a concern.
Right.
But I think Swanson has, I think he's done a decent job, and he hasn't made any detrimental mistakes. And I think that's all we can ask for.
Yeah. So now that special teams has been mentioned, let's talk about it a little bit, right? Like special teams, BT Potter, perfect on the season.
Yeah.
We got a couple block kicks on the season. Special teams is looking a little better. Not exactly Clemson's strongest suit in past years, but what's your evaluation so far with the Clemson special teams so far this season? They've created some turnovers. They've created some block kicks. Like I said, perfect on field goals. What's your evaluation of Clemson's special team, and is this maybe the best special teams performance we've seen so far?
Well, they've gotten off to a great start. I think my only criticism is in the return game. It feels like and that's kind of been a gripe for Clemson fans for a while, and I think that's the only thing that hasn't really impressed me so far. This year it's really just the return game. Doesn't seem like there's a lot of opportunity for guys to break one.
Right.
So
it doesn't seem like we try a lot on the return game, right?
Right.
It seems like we're kind of relegated. Yeah, we're kind of relegated to fair catches, and we'll just ride it. We'll just ride it out with the offense.
So, and I think they're being coached to do that. Obviously, Mike Reed has taken over the special teams duties this year, and so it's paid dividends. And the kick, obviously, the kicking and punting have been good, and punt, field goal blocks, those have been great to see. But just the return game, that's something that I want to see a little bit more out of, because it can really, especially when you have an offense that's still kind of finding itself, finding its identity. It really helps if you can flip some field position, get some extra yardage for the offense to work with. So getting better in the return game, I think will be big. When's the last time we've had a kick return or a kick or punt return for a touchdown? I know Will Brown got one called back against Wake last year.
Yeah, Wake last year. I think that might be the last one, but it was called back, obviously. Like Wake last year, Will Brown ran one in. It got called back.
Because what was it? He kind of he started to wave for a fair catch, and once he started the motion, that's
right.
That
yeah, they kind of took that as whatever.
A signal, yeah. I think he went to signal, and then he changed his mind last minute, but by then he had already done the motion. I'm trying to think. I know Ray had one against NC State. I can't remember anyone in between that. Maybe someone in the chat knows, but it certainly has been a while since Clemson has took one to the house there.
It's been a minute for sure.
Yeah, so I want that. I want that for this special teams unit, and it's just extra points. So
if DJ is running the ball, the offense is not being effective. There is too much talent on that offense for the QB run to be a call.
I don't agree with that.
I don't agree with that as well, but I will let you get into your opinion on that, and then I will get into mine. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I don't think DJ running the ball should be seen as the offense isn't working, and that's not what we've seen. I don't think they've gone to the DJ running the ball as like a as a last resort or because, other things aren't working. The QB run has been a part of this offense for since forever. So
Yeah, that's kind of ingrained in the Clemson offense.
Yeah. So I don't, if DJ is running it like every single time and, they're just plugging away at it and it's not working, then maybe you might have a point. But no, DJ's running the ball really well. And because of that, I think that should be always on the table as a call. I mean, I don't think you should run him like a bunch of times per game, but if it's there, I don't see a problem with it. And past years have indicated that, especially as the season goes on, you start to see the quarterback get more involved in the run game anyway. So more and more.
Yeah, and here's the thing: is it's a part of Clemson's offense first and foremost. Whether you like it or not, as a Clemson fan, this is an intricate part of Clemson's offense. It will always be a part of Clemson's offense as long as Dabo Swinney is the head coach. Because regardless of what people think, Dabo Swinney is not just a CEO of a program; he is also very involved in the offense, and this is really his offense. I know Chad Morris has been through here and Tony Elliott has been through here, and now Brandon Streeter is the offensive coordinator. But I guarantee you, Dabo Swinney has an intricate part of the Clemson offense.
Yeah.
And this is his team. This is his philosophy, and this is why Clemson's offense has looked the same through multiple coordinators now. Okay, we're on our third coordinator. Clemson's offense looks pretty much the same, right?
Yeah.
Like, what do you say?
Yeah, minor differences, but the philosophies are still there.
Right.
QB runs always, is always there. That they want to, lots of use of screens, inside zone stuff. Being a power spread team. That's kind of what this offense has always been. So and that's in those kinds of offenses, part of when you're doing, reads, zone read and stuff like that, the QB run that's an intricate part of it. So
and that's what it's always going to be. So we need to kind of move past the fact that, blaming everything on Tony Elliott and so on and so forth. Clemson's offense is in good hands. We will be fine. And I don't know if you've been watching Clemson's offense lately, but DJ is pretty good at making some guys miss.
Right.
I think we've talked about it a couple times, maybe off the air, but DJ's doing pretty good at making dudes miss.
Yeah.
It may not,
and it's
like,
not even just on design runs. It's not even just on design. Like, when he's, scrambled, he scrambled for some, first downs this year too. So, I don't expect him to do that all the time. And that's not like his game, but he does it well enough that it should always be on the table.
Right. And he's not Lamar Jackson. He's not, Deshaun Watson. He's not Taj Boyd. He's not any of those dudes, but that's okay. He does have the escapability to get out of harm's way and make plays, and he's demonstrated that this year. And for that, I think the offense has improved. So, without further ado, Jordan Bowman, let's get into some picks against the spread. Clemson is a 7-point favorite. Are you picking Clemson against the spread? And if so, what does your score prediction look like? Do you think they win by a massive amount or not? What is your thoughts?
Well, I bet a little bit, but I never bet on Clemson. But for the sake of this show, I will give a pick against the spread.
We will not bet, but we will give a prediction. How about that?
Yeah, this is not betting advice for anybody. So I don't.
No. Don't
anybody
listen
that's
to us.
listening and comes back in the comments saying you lost me money because Wake covered or even won the game. Like,
I didn't lose you money. You lost yourself money. Don't listen to me.
Right.
I'm ridiculous. I'm on YouTube. Clearly, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. But no, I think Clemson -7 is. I think it's a pretty safe bet. Well, and I think it might have been up to because I know money's going to be coming in on Clemson has been coming in on Clemson this week, so that line might move a little bit.
Right. Yeah.
So, but I do think that it's I think Clemson -7 is the pick. Just the matchups, I think the improvement on offense is enough for me to feel reasonably confident that Clemson will score, enough in this game to build a sizable lead. And Wake hasn't shown me enough. Obviously the offense is good, but they don't do anything really differently that makes me think that the same issues that cropped up last year won't be an issue again. So I think Clemson -7. If I score prediction, I'm going to say Clemson. I want to go into the 40s again. I'll be conservative for the sake of this show, but I'll say Clemson 35, Wake Forest 20.
Okay. 35-20. Okay. I like it. We got some people getting into the comments. Let's get to them before I get to my thoughts. Our D-line always has the advantage. Secondary has some injuries and may give up a few plays, but we have enough up front. I agree. We do have enough up front. I do think we may give up a few big plays, whether it be health on the secondary or just some miscommunication that has been demonstrated in the first few weeks of the season. I think we will give up some points, but I do think our front will be enough in order to stop the Wake offense. Hunter gets in and says 42-17 Clemson.
That's a great name, by the way, Hunter Goatfro.
Hunter Goatfro. I like it. What was your prediction?
35-20 Clemson.
35-20. I'm going to write that down. That way we can revisit that.
Yeah.
Come post game show. Hunter Goatfro. What's that?
What's the over under for this game? Do you know?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know.
I'm really interested. Okay, I'm gonna go to my sports book real quick.
Yeah, tell me what the over under is. Hunter Goatfro. It was big once Morris came, even Taj and QB run scheme a lot. Okay. Yeah.
55.5. So wow, I got the point total perfect pretty much.
Did you?
I said 35-20 and 55. Wow.
Hey, look at you, bro. Professional freaking gambler over here.
Yes, I am.
Kelly, Deshaun, Trevor, Taj, all were a threat to run. DC will scheme for DJ to run. He is not a runner. DJ needs his skill to improve. Then he can break the 12 to 15 yard runs.
Well, I don't think the goal is to get DJ, 12 to 15 yards per, and I don't think that I think, the point of calling a QB run is to get, 5 or 6 yards on, maybe it's first down or first or second down. And, you need a few yards to make it more manageable.
Right.
That's kind of where I see, where we design those QB runs for DJ. I don't think the goal. I mean, if DJ, happens to break one, that's good, but it's not.
And DJ's been running, 10-yard runs. This
season. He's had a few.
He's broke quite a few. So I would not agree with that. Hunter Goatfro gets into the chat again. Says, and keep in mind, we sacked Hartman 9 times last season. Yes, there were a myriad of sacks last season by the Clemson defense. I think we had 8 or 9 sacks. I'm not sure if it was 9, but I'm pretty sure it was 8 or 9 sacks. We had a ton of tackle for losses. So, yes, we had the Wake Forest offense off schedule often. John Sarin gets in, says 56. I'm assuming he's saying Clemson's going to score 56.
No, I think
because
he's talking
there's
about the over-under because the over-under,
okay.
depending on what sports book you look at, is 55.5, 56, something like that.
Okay, so 56 for the over under.
Yeah.
So are you taking the over or the under for that?
I would go slightly over because I gave a conservative pick on how many points I think Clemson's going to score. So I think Clemson can get into the 40s, and I don't think Wake is going to get more than mid 20s. Kind of
Yeah,
like
I think maybe Wake gets two to three touchdowns,
yeah.
maybe.
But if Clemson gets
And
Clemson gets into the 40s,
I think Clemson. Yeah, I think Clemson gets to 6 or 7 touchdowns.
Yeah. So I would take the over then. Yeah.
That's my opinion. Nonstop Sports Kids gets in, says, do you wonder why Cade Klubnik has kind of struggled after that one Georgia Tech drive? I haven't wondered why he has struggled because pretty much every game that he's been inserted in after the Georgia Tech, he's been inserted with the twos. So I think maybe that's a result of drop off between the ones and the twos, and then also maybe some chemistry issues between Cade and some of the twos. I don't know, but that's kind of my take. What's your take, Jordan?
I think that's part of it for sure. But I think a lot of it is just, and I think we as fans tend to overthink some of this stuff. Cade is a freshman, and I think he's he gets out there and he makes some freshman mistakes. When the coaches would talk about Cade in the offseason, they said there was a reason why they said DJ was the guy, and DJ hasn't done anything to lose the job.
Right.
It's because
Absolutely.
Cade would have to earn it, and I think the future is right with him, obviously, but he's got some work to do.
Absolutely,
I think
100% does.
I think there were times he got in where he bailed from the pocket too early. I think that's the thing that kind of differentiates the drives we've seen from him recently versus that Georgia Tech drive was you saw a lot of moving pocket stuff where that's just what he's good at. He does that really well. But they put him in some situations and did some things that he's not very good at right now. Stuff that he would have to be able to do to run the offense, the full offense. So I think he's still developing that part of his game. Developing more of a pocket presence and staying not bailing so early and delivering strikes within the structure of the offense. So that's just kind of what I think. But I'm not kind of concerned about it or anything. That's just. No, he's taking his lumps. They're putting him out there and letting him take his lumps.
Yeah, and I think that's the important thing, and I think that's the point of Dabo Swinney and the rest of the coaching staff putting Cade out there in certain situations is so that he can take his lumps.
Yeah,
that's kind of the point. As a new quarterback on campus, you have to go out there, you have to take your lumps, you have to kind of get exposed in a sense. It's not all roses and daisies. Just look no further than DJ from coming in for Trevor Lawrence when he was out with COVID for a couple weeks. He came in, he led Clemson to an unbelievable, comeback victory from Boston College. And then he lost a really close game that wasn't his fault to Notre Dame. And he performed really well in both of those games, and then look into his second season and suddenly he's the guy, and it's not all roses and daisies. It's not all going well, and suddenly he's a terrible quarterback. He can't get the job done, so on and so forth. So don't be so quick to think that there's something wrong with Cade Klubnik. I don't think there's anything wrong with Cade Klubnik. I think he's growing as a young player. I think it's important that Clemson keeps getting him into really important situations and meaningful snaps. And I think he will grow into the quarterback that we all think that he eventually will be. but that he's not right now. So let's roll with DJ. K. Klubnik is not the guy right now, but he will be one day.
Yeah.
Hunter Goatfro gets in, says nonstop sports, mainly because he hasn't gotten to run with the first teamers. Yes, we kind of mentioned that.
Yeah.
That's part of it. He has not got to run with the first teamers. Big Mac gets in and says, what I'm saying, you have Shipley, Pace, Maffa. Why scheme DJ for a 5-yard run to take those hits? If the OL can't get the running back 5 yards, then the offense is ineffective. But I will let this go. What's your thoughts?
Well, I don't want to keep harping on that topic, but I don't think that's. I think the goal is to give something for the defense to have to respect more. It's just another thing they have to account for. It's not necessarily just we need 5 yards and we don't think we can get it with our running backs. I don't think that's the thing at all. I think it just it forces the defense to kind of second guess. Kind
absolutely.
of what But
I don't think we need to get into that anymore, honestly. Yeah. Hunter Goatfro gets in, says DJ has looked sharp when Streeter opens up the playbook. So I don't know if you've seen any of this, Jordan, this week, but I've seen quite a bit of it this week when looking at articles, when looking at videos on YouTube, different things with Clemson. I've seen kind of this if you will, trend that Clemson hasn't quite opened up their offensive playbook. They're kind of holding back. What are your thoughts on Clemson maybe holding back their offensive playbook?
I think there's always some of that. Obviously no team goes into every single, especially a team like Clemson, no team goes into a game, with the playbook just they're just running all their stuff and everything.
Right.
They want to put, they're not putting everything on film. So I think there's something to that, but I think they're also just trying to get the work on the fundamental stuff. I think that's important because a lot of Clemson's offense builds on that. And I think, when you look at some of the film, you see, different formations and different looks. And, they'll run one play out of that look and you'll see, there was somebody open there and that, they did something different there. And maybe that's something we'll see again later on. And I think I've seen some of that, especially in this Louisiana Tech game. And you've seen some stuff where it's like, there's a new little wrinkle there that we haven't seen before. And so maybe we'll see that again, or maybe they'll do something different or build on it. So I think that's kind of what you see as you'll see more of that as the season kind of flows on. And I don't really, so it's not necessarily open. It's kind of opening up the playbook, but it's also just, building on what you've done really well. And just kind of, stacking on top of that and doing different stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a certain amount of that goes on in college football. I don't think that's important to talk about, especially at the top of college football. It is what it is. I'm sure Clemson is holding back a certain amount of their offense, but I don't think it has anything to do with success or failure in the first 3 games that we played. So that's what I'll say about it. Trevor's first pass at A&M was a TD to Higgins.
I remember that play well. I was freaking out.
I do as well. I was going absolutely insane in my living room. But we still need Kelly Bryant to win the game.
Yep.
All true. We have their moments, no worries. Every freshman has their moments, no worries. Yes, absolutely. Trevor Lawrence absolutely had his moments. Kelly Bryant, we obviously needed him to win that Texas A&M game. Any Clemson fan will tell you that.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's like, I know people keep talking about the Trevor Lawrence, Kelly Bryant situation and kind of comparing it to the DJ situation with Cade. And I don't think it's the same at all.
Yeah. And I don't
That's
think
just my
Keith, for
opinion.
the record, that's not what we don't think that's what that's not what you were saying. But
No. We don't think that's what you were saying at all. But there are a lot of people out there saying that.
yeah,
Every freshman will have his day, and that's kind of what he is saying. Is kind of Cade had his day against Georgia Tech. He led an amazing drive against
yep,
Georgia Tech. It looked great. It looked flawless. It looked, something for the records.
yeah.
But that's
It was
not.
really smooth. That was really
Yeah,
that was
it
really
looked
nice.
smooth.
Yeah,
But at the end of the day, that's not reality. That's not
yeah,
how every drive works,
yeah.
right? So
Got to do
moving
some
on.
different stuff.
Moving
So,
on. Who do you think will be the starter at the end of the year? DJ, without a doubt,
yeah.
no doubt.
But barring injury, something
Oh,
catastrophic right now,
barring
or
injury, DJ is the guy. No doubt in my mind. He has cemented himself. He has done nothing to waver that in any way, shape, or form. So,
yeah,
based on current flow of the season, DJ will be the starter. Yep, absolutely. We just said that. Big things we need is more tight end, intermediate routes, and more deep shots down the field. I will
well,
agree. We need to attack the middle of the field more, but
yeah.
I'll let Jordan Bowman go into this more. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, the more deep shot, I'll kind of expand on that, Hunter. I think more deep shots over the middle of the field, and that deep
Yes.
third. And I think, and I was watching I've seen a lot of clips, and there were plays to be had over the top. Because Clemson has taken its share of deep shots, down the sideline and stuff like that big catch to Ngata, comes to mind that Bo
Yep.
Collins made a really nice play. So I think you're seeing some more attempts. You're seeing attempts down the field, but just where's that post route, and where's a deep seam or something like that. That I think you're going to start seeing more of that. There were some in the Louisiana Tech game. I saw Antonio Williams, and he's which it just shows how good he is. I saw Antonio Williams on kind of sort of a skinny post get open. It was a DJ threw a quick out, and there wasn't he didn't give it time to develop. He just got the ball out quickly. But
Right.
you saw that play, and he had the defender beat. I can't remember what time at what point in the game that was, but and that's kind of when I've watched Antonio Williams individually, I've seen just a lot of that kind of stuff where he's they're running those routes up the middle, and deep in the deep middle, but they're just not they're not taking those shots right now. But I think you'll start to see it more, and those plays are there to be had, especially now that Clemson has a little more options and a little bit more speed, especially with Antonio Williams, and we'll see what Adam Randall looks like going forward. I think that'll be more of an option.
Right. Let's see. Nonstop Sports Kids gets in, says, do you think we make the playoffs?
Oh,
I don't know. At this point,
I don't know.
I'll take this. I'll let you think on it a little bit, Jordan. I saw your hesitancy there. So honestly, at this point, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think Clemson is capable of making the playoffs. I think we're capable of winning the ACC, but I think Clemson has a lot of improvement to do. In the back end of Clemson's defense, we obviously need to get much better. We need to improve. We need to stay healthy because we saw the depth tested last week against La Tech, and it wasn't great. So we need to stay healthy on the defensive end. Especially in the back end. On the offensive side of the ball, we need to continue to improve. We need to continue to build momentum. DJ needs to get off to a lot of fast starts. I think that's been helping him in past weeks. And I think if we continue to do those things, we could be a playoff team. We could be, contending for a national championship. Who knows? But we have a long way to go. Luckily, it's a long season, and we have a lot of time to improve. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much summed it up. Right now, it's just
right
too
now
early.
it's a no, right? It's a no, right?
I would say
Let's
no. I don't think this team. I know Clemson's ranked in the top. I don't know if this team is a top 4 team. I don't think this is a top 4 team right now.
No, I don't either.
But they certainly have the pieces to be, and I think they're building towards that. And I'm seeing improvement in a lot of areas each week. So, it's a long season. I mean, you got to go back to that. Go back to that 2016 season. And I'm not saying this is a national. Clemson's. I'm not trying to compare it, to the national championship team in totality, but
right.
That 2016 team, like Dabo has talked about all the time about how he wanted to strangle them because they just they were not a very cohesive unit to start the year. They were not a very good team very early in that year.
He said multiple times that they just kind of wanted to fast forward to the national championship, right?
Yeah,
like he said that multiple times.
But you saw them develop, and maybe it takes a Pitt loss or something. I know we don't play Pitt, but just that similar type of loss, and maybe it kind of wakes them up. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but who knows? We've seen it happen in the past. But Clemson has always been they always play their best football at the end of the year. They've never really come out as like a finished product before, really.
Right.
Even 2018 wasn't like that. It took, between the quarterback situation and, they had that close game with A&M, and then obviously Syracuse, once they hit Syracuse, then they really got going. But, Clemson has never been a fast starting team. But I think they're going to build towards, that kind of caliber of team. So by the end of the season, we could be talking about, playoffs for sure. And, obviously this is an ACC contender. And if you can win the ACC, you'll get a shot, you'll be considered. But I think you just can't afford obviously a second loss if you take one. But other than that, I think, the playoffs are well within the, they're within reach. You just got to keep building towards it.
Absolutely. I absolutely think that Clemson is 100% not a playoff team at this point.
Yeah.
But I do think they have the potential to be a playoff team. I do think they could make some noise in the postseason if everything goes their way, if they stay healthy. Obviously, health is a huge issue when it comes to, making a playoff run. In the past, Clemson has been super healthy every time they've made a playoff run. So it's yet to be seen.
Yeah.
But they are the type of team that could make a deep playoff run. And we'll see how it works out. Everybody comments. So John gets in, says, everybody comments on DJ missing reads. But Trevor missed reads here. And here and there every game too. Yeah, absolutely.
No, Trevor was far from what wasn't perfect every game for sure.
Trevor got a lot of passes because of his talent. So guess what? When you're winning games, you get a lot of passes, and when you're not, you get a lot of the blame. That's the point of being the quarterback, especially at a program like Clemson. So that's kind of how it goes. Hunter Gofro gets in, says secondary needs to sharpen up to make the playoffs. The plays we gave up against La Tech and Furman was ridiculous. I agree. I get tired of seeing Clemson fans blame this all on injury.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't all on injury. And, there were still some guys that have played a lot of football that were playing in that. Well, not played a lot of football technically, but guys that have been in the program a while. Guys like Fred Davis, Malcolm Green, they played.
They've been in the program a while. They haven't played a lot of snaps, and I do think that was kind of part of it.
Yeah. So this secondary is not experienced. So it's not
no.
So it's not just injury.
Look, and let's not get it twisted. Like Clemson fans coming into this season, This was a concern for Clemson fans
Yeah.
coming into this season, was the secondary. So let's not pretend like we thought the entire Clemson defense was ironclad.
Yeah.
Yes, the defensive line, absolutely. I think there's dudes there at every position that will play on Sunday. Same thing with linebacker. But in the back of the secondary, I don't know if that's the case. Maybe eventually, but right now, it's kind of unproven. So I think we need to kind of take a deep breath, relax, take a step back as Clemson fans, and kind of take it as it comes. I think our defense is performing pretty well. I don't like some of the soft coverage. I even more so don't like the missed tackles. That's what's creating a lot of the big plays. It's the miscommunication. It's the busted coverage in the back end and the missed tackles that's creating the big plays. Other than that, I think our defense has played pretty well, in my opinion. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I think it'll be a different vibe come Wake Forest, in my opinion. So, when the defense will the defense step up this game? In my opinion, yes, the defense will absolutely shut down Wake Forest's offense in this game. That's my opinion. Maybe Jordan disagrees with me. I don't know, but I think Clemson's defense gets pressure on Sam Hartman. I think we completely disrupt the slow mesh that they like to run. They will not be able to do any sort of running game on us. So I think our defense will be able to pin our ears back, get after Sam Hartman, and bait him into some possibly bad throws, some turnovers, and I think maybe the game gets away early.
Yeah, especially if they force turnovers, and that's something this group has been good at through 3 games. This defense has forced a lot of turnovers. But yeah, I mean, by stepping up, if you mean like I think this defense is going to do enough. I think Wake is going to hit some plays, but I don't think it's going to be like they're going to torch Clemson. I think they'll move the ball. I think they'll move the ball some, but they're not going to hit those big plays that they like, and I think Clemson will do a good job of limiting their explosiveness. So, and right. I think that'll be enough for the offense to put it up enough. It's just kind of similar to last year. Wake put up 27. But they couldn't run the ball. They had to rely heavily on the passing game, and I think that's kind of what you're going to see in this game.
Yeah, it was what
48-27.
48-27.
Yeah.
38-13 heading into the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So yes, Wake did score a little bit in the fourth quarter. I think some of that was Clemson kind of taking its foot off the pedal, kind of putting some guys in there with less experience in the defensive side of the ball. Yeah. So at the end of the day, here's my overall thoughts on the Clemson versus Wake matchup. I'll let Jordan go after me. I think Clemson runs away with this game. I think they win by 3 scores at least. I think our Clemson defense gets multiple stops, multiple 3-and-outs early on in the game. I think we play for the first time a complete game as a Clemson team. I think the defense gets stops, the offensive scores points, and I think it gets away from Wake early, and that will force Wake to really rely on the throwing game more so than they do already. I don't think they'll be able to run against Clemson anyway. I think Wake knows that, Clemson knows that, and we will dial up several blitzes against Sam Hartman. I think we will get home a bunch of times, much like we did last year. And I think it is a comfortable win for Clemson. What do you think, Jordan?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. And I already gave my score prediction. I said 35-20. So, I think that, and that's kind of conservative. I think Clemson can win by more. But yeah, I think the defense is going to be disruptive enough, keep Wake off schedule, and that obviously, they'll have to rely on making plays in the pass game. And I think when you know it's a lot easier to play defense when you know they're going to pass.
Right.
So if Clemson, creates tackles for loss, gets them in, second, third, and longs, I think it'll take some pressure off of that secondary because I think you'll be able to drop more guys into coverage, and then it's all about just coming down and making the tackle, and I think that's kind of the key to success. So, I feel good about how this team matches up. I see John Sarian he said that Jones didn't travel and Makuba likely won't suit up. Oh, that is important.
Who didn't travel?
Sheridan Jones.
Sheridan Jones didn't travel. That's not good. I thought all he had was a stinger from last game. So
maybe
it's
a precautionary thing. Makuba, the Makuba news is disappointing.
That's super disappointing.
But I strangely have more confidence in our safety play or our safety depth. I think Mickens and Phillips, are going to do enough, or they're going to be good enough.
I think they will too. And I think if our defensive line gets enough pressure, it won't matter, right?
Yeah.
If we disrupt that enough, it won't matter. Our secondary won't have to be as good as maybe they need to be later on in the season. So
I do, and so we'll see. If Wiggins is, if Wiggins is back, I think that's still big because I think I personally think he's the best corner in the room right now.
I hope he's back.
Yeah,
I hope he's back.
Yeah. So, if Wiggins traveled, that's a good sign. If we don't have Wiggins, no Wiggins and no Jones, then I'm a little.
Yeah, if we don't have Wiggins, we don't have Sheridan Jones, and then Makuba's not playing either. We may have some issues in the secondary, but yet to be seen. I'm still very confident in the Clemson defense. I think our front will get plenty of pressure, and I think we will disrupt Wake's attack enough in order to facilitate a 2 to 3 touchdown win.
Yeah. And I think one guy we haven't talked about, in that secondary is Malcolm Green, and I think he's playing a lot better. And I think he's kind of a Swiss Army knife in that defense. I think you can. I mean, we typically play him at nickel, but
right,
which we run a lot. We run a lot of nickel and dime, so he's going to be in the game a lot. So I think he has a lot of scheme versatility. They can move around, and I think you can place him outside too. So.
Absolutely.
I feel okay. I still feel okay about the corners with Sheridan. I don't think it's going to be super detrimental if the defensive line is getting home. So
right.
We'll see.
All right. So last thing before we get off of here, Jordan, I will give my score prediction. I'll go 45-10. 45-10. That'll be my score prediction, and we'll see how we line up. We'll talk about it in the post-game reaction here on the Voice of College Football Clemson channel. Everybody still in the chat, everybody who has watched this video, know that we absolutely thank you for watching. We thank you for getting in on the chat. We thank you for commenting. All of the above. Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done already. Again, me, Jordan Bowman, DeAndre, and Smitty will be here for both pregame and postgame live reactions to every Clemson game this season. Come join us. Come get all of the smoke or none of the smoke, whatever you want to call it. We just appreciate you guys contributing to the show. But it's a 12 o'clock kickoff. What is it on ESPN?
Is it ESPN? It might be ABC. Hold on.
Is it on? No, ABC. ABC.
Yeah.
You're right. 12 o'clock kickoff on ABC. Me and Jordan Bowman will be watching it. We will be right here on the Voice of College Football Clemson channel with a live post-game reaction immediately following the game. So any of you guys joining us now, Please join us for the post-game reaction. Get your thoughts in on that show, and we will talk through what we saw in the game. But until then, thank you for joining us again, and we will see you next time. Tiger Paul Craven checking out. Jordan Bowman checking out.
Later, y'all.